There has been a great deal of information and discussion about the importance of coaching over the last number of years. Research published in the last couple of years in particular has identified extremely strong connections between the level of coaching skills of a leader and both the levels of productivity and employee engagement. So, what do I mean by coaching? Now, if you type the word coaching into Google, you will get truckloads of definitions, all with slightly different nuances. So I like to use a pretty simple definition of coaching. Coaching is basically a conversation or a series of conversations between two people, which involves some sense of exploration. Or in other words, coaching is when one person is helping another person with their thinking. Through using some fundamental skills like questioning and listening, you can help a person obtain more awareness and insight. You can help someone to find a way forward on an issue, or facilitate a greater sense of confidence or self-belief. Now, a conversation like that has the potential to lose focus and become just an interesting chat, so it helps to have a process, or a handrail if you like, to give structure to the conversation. And that is what GROW does. So in this short video, I'll briefly explain the GROW acronym. I'll give you a brief helicopter or high-level view of the GROW process and what it might sound like. And then I'll share with you the important role that you would play at each of the stages in the process. Okay, so let's talk about GROW. GROW as a word implies positive change or development, which is exactly what coaching conversations can be about. But it actually is an acronym which reflects 4 stages in a process. G stands for goal, R for reality, O stands for options or opportunities, and W stands for way forward or wrap up. GROW is basically a problem-solving model, and because of its simplicity and its logical sequence, it is extremely effective in a one-on-one coaching context. Now, how does it work? I'm going to talk a little bit about what happens in each stage of the discussion and what it might sound like. The first stage, G, refers to goal. As a coach, it is important to help ensure that the coachee has some clarity around what they want to get out of this conversation. It's like the North Star of the conversation. So, as a coach, you might ask some questions like this. What do you want to achieve? What challenge do you need to meet? What problem or issue do you need to fix? The next stage in the conversation is the R, or reality stage. This is a really crucial stage in the conversation. It's important to help the coachee to really understand what's happening now and ultimately get a bit more insight. So questions like this are really important. What's happening now? And what's the current impact of that? And if nothing changes, what are the possible future implications? As a coach, it's so important that we don't rush this stage. Often in problem solving, we try to jump quickly to finding a solution. But in a coaching conversation, it's really important to not get to that stage too quickly. In this stage of reality, it provides an opportunity for the coachee to get their thoughts in order. When you try to tell something to someone else that is really quite muddled within you, having to present it in a clear way helps you to get your own thoughts in order. It also enables the coachee to really connect emotionally to what is going on. This is particularly important when it comes to issues of confidence and even accountability. Once that has been explored, the next stage in the process is options or opportunities in some versions of the model. Now, the first 2 stages, the G and the R, although they appear sequential, can often be a bit messy and we tend to spin a little bit between them. So before exploring some options around how to solve the issue, it's important to really revalidate what the issue or the goal is. It's helpful to ask, what is the ideal outcome? Other questions that are helpful at this stage include these ones. What ideas do you have to achieve this outcome? What else could you try? And what else? And if the preferred option's not possible, what's the next best thing? So this is a stage that's very much about having the coachee generate and then assess a whole range of options. And the amount that you contribute to those ideas is really going to depend on what you sense the coachee needs from you. Early on in the G stage, you should aim to identify what the coachee is looking for from you in this conversation. It's really important that we avoid a temptation to try to help them to come up with the answer. As you can imagine, it's really empowering to have the coachee come up with the idea themselves. If you do sense that they need some help and they are looking for suggestions, it's okay to do so long as you're sure that you've had them shake their own ideas tree really hard and then ask permission before offering an idea. And the last stage in the conversation is W, the wrap-up or way forward piece. So this might sound like, well, what do you think is your next step? What are you going to do and when? How might you overcome some of those obstacles? What support might you need? And how should we follow up on this? So that's the GROW model. It's a pretty simple model to learn and fairly simple to use as well, but sometimes we can find that there's a difference between knowing something and doing it. So it can be helpful to sort of pull yourself up again to the high level to appreciate the role that you play at each stage in GROW. So in the goal stage, your role as coach is really to help the coachee to gain clarity, to get them to really clarify their goal. In the reality stage, it's helping them to really understand what is happening now so they can gain further insight. You can encourage that through self-assessment, through asking probing questions, even by offering some feedback. Feedback as a mirror, if you like, to show them what you're seeing and noticing. And remember, the insight is for them, it's not for you. Your role in the options stage is to help the coachee to see what's possible, to help them to generate and then assess a whole range of options. And in the final stage, the way forward or wrap-up stage, it's about helping them to make some choices, to commit to some actions. So that's the GROW model, what it stands for, what it sounds like, and the role that you play at each stage. Remember, coaching is about helping someone else with their thinking, and this is where you can really add value as a leader.